The Yankees now this offseason, there are three names that are popping up. Are they coming back or are they gone? Number one, Brian Cashman, which we have heard over and over and over again before the season's end, before the playoffs, that Hal is retaining him no matter what. That's what we've heard. I believe that to be true. Then it was Aaron Boone. If Aaron Boone doesn't get this team to the World Series this year, he is gone. Yankee fans can't stand him. I have no idea why, but they cannot stand him, even though this guy has been the winningest Yankee manager in a 5-year span than any Yankee manager in history. And then we're hearing Aaron Judge, the big bopper, the 62 home runs. He breaks the American League record. He almost wins the batting title. He almost wins the Triple Crown. He's going to San Francisco, which I predicted 2 years ago. What are your thoughts to these three pieces to the Yankees puzzle going into the offseason?
It's a big question. I think we could talk for an hour about just that one question, you know? I think you're spot on in the sense that, you know, Boone and Cashman have, in the grand scheme of things, done a relatively solid job. I think they've put this team in a position to win each and every year. If you look at just that 5-year span, you don't want to make excuses for anybody, but I do think that injuries really did hinder this team from standing any sort of chance against the Astros. They really were missing a healthy DJ LeMahieu, a healthy Andrew Benintendi. They were desperately missing the guys in the bullpen, like a Michael King, Scott Efros, who they brought over, Chad Green. I think that it would have been nice to have a healthy Frankie Montas that whole time throughout the second half. The list goes on. At the end of the day, I don't think they would have necessarily beaten the Astros regardless. So you can point fingers at anybody. You could point fingers at the guys who were healthy and did play, specifically Judge. I mean, he was like 1 for 16 in that series. They didn't play well enough to win that series. But it goes all the way up to Steinbrenner and allocating his resources and maybe not signing the top shortstop or not putting his money in the right places this past offseason, whatever it may be. But Cashman has made quite a few stellar under-the-radar deals over the last few years, specifically in the last 12 months or so, or even going back to last year's deadline. You can criticize those guys all you want, but at the end of the day, I think that this was a step up from 2021, right? That was such an inconsistent year. They really didn't have a chance going into the playoffs, and they lost in that one game in the wild card round. This year, they won 99 games, historically good in the first half. They battled that adversity in the second half, and the injuries did have a real impact on this team. And they just ran into a buzzkill in the Astros, who are probably going to run away with the World Series unless the Phillies are truly the team of destiny. And they've been dominant against the Yankees these last couple of years. So that's the standard. I don't know who's necessarily at fault. I get the logic that something needs to change. Last year, they axed the entire coaching staff, basically. And I was kind of surprised that Boone was able to stick around because of how poorly last year went. But it was a step forward from last year. There have been a lot of deals made. It's not like Cashman's not making trades. It's not like they're not spending money. But I get that Yankees fans are entitled and want to win, right? It's been 13 years.
Entitled.
I get it.
Cry me a river.
Oh. You're in the playoffs every single year, too. And a 99-win season is pretty great for many, many franchises.
Max, are you a Yankee fan?
I grew up in Manhattan, a Yankee fan. But honestly,
writing for them, you're not.
Getting into journalism, yeah. I think I lost fandom in really every sport because you're kind of conditioned to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely not a baseball fan of any team at this point.
Gotcha.
I grew up a Miami sports fan because my parents are from Miami. So I still watch Miami Heat games and stuff like that. But
I would tell you this. As a radio guy, I am a Yankee fan. I'm a Jet fan. I'm an Islander fan. I'm a Knicks fan. But you would never know that I'm a fan of those teams because every single time my team stinks, I don't give a crap. I'm going to attack them. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm an honest fan, and I'm not going to sit here and cry myself to sleep because the Yankees didn't get into the World Series. I know Yankee fans want to do that. I know Yankee fans want to, well, we love them. I don't want to hear it. The Astros were the better team. They were absolutely the better team. Did they cheat? I don't know. I mean, they've been known to cheat. I mean, the umpires were absolutely horrendous in that series. I mean, I could have called half the games better than half the umpires. But nevertheless, it wasn't even the umpire's fault. The first game could have went either way. The umpires definitely, we statistically, we pulled up numbers, and the umpires were definitely on the Astros side with Justin Verlander. But after that, it was close. I mean, the strike zone was very close. I just think watching what we have seen with the Yankees and over the last couple of years, I think the Yankees need to go another route. I think the power in the lineup needs to change. I think you need to find guys that can hit for average, guys that can steal bases, where you can bunt, play little league baseball. This is where, and we've seen some of these teams succeed. The Kansas City Royals, when they won a championship, they played little league baseball. I mean, National League Baseball is now changing to American League Baseball with the DL. There's no more shifting anymore. I think that's going to help hitters, and I think there's going to be more. The averages are going to go up this after this season. I believe you're going to see a lot of difference in the game, and I think maybe if Aaron Judge stays with the Yankees, he'll be even better as a hitter. I don't know, but all these different rules and these changes after the new CBA and the rules that are going to be changed in the future, I think they definitely need electronic umpires. I never thought that until really going into the playoffs. But to me, I am tired of watching these umpires, just absolutely have a strike. So, it's low, so I'm going to call it low all game. Oh, it's outside and a high. I'm going to call it outside and high a strike all game. Come on, guys. I mean, there's a box, there's a plate. Figure out what the strike zone is already. I don't care how tall Aaron Judge. He could be 7'8" or 7'8" or what the heck it is. I don't care. The strike zone is the same. How stupid can you be? But anyways, I'm not going to rant about this. This is all about you, my friend. We are talking to Sports Illustrated Fan Nation, Jets and Yankees reporter, Max Goodman.
So what do you see the market value as being kind of on average for Aaron Judge, both years-wise and maybe the overall contract average annual value?
It's tough to say. I haven't gone through and singled out a prediction of what I think he's actually going to make, but it is really hard to quantify. I mean, I was lucky enough to be around him and the team all season long, and I got to travel as much as I could. I was in Toronto for 61 and that kind of stuff. So I really don't think you can put a monetary value on it of just how valuable he is to this team. On the basis of between the lines, I mean, he carried this club through their highs and lows throughout the year. You ask anybody else in that clubhouse, from the veterans and the guys he's close to, like an Anthony Rizzo, to the rookies and the nobodies in the grand scheme of things, because they're brand new to this league. And Judge is making them feel comfortable. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He's a captain-like figure. And then in terms of marketing and what he means to the fan base, I mean, he's the closest thing to what New York has seen since Derek Jeter, I think is fair to say. So is he deserving of the biggest contract for an outfielder ever? I mean, he's got to be up there in terms of what the Bryce Harpers and the Mike Trouts and the Mookie Betts, those types of guys have made. But I don't think it helps that he's on the wrong side of 30. So is a team really going to be willing to give him 8, 9, 10 years? I mean, probably not. Those types of contracts don't always pan out. You look at like an Albert Pujols, for instance. Guys are going to start to trail off in their skills as they get older. I mean, that makes sense in every sport. So, I think a team out there is going to overpay and give him a very lucrative deal. The Yankees didn't give him enough with their offer before spring training, and that's why he declined it, bet on himself, and it certainly worked out for him. But to give you a specific monetary, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, I'll base my answer off of that.
I think he's gone. I think he's going to San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to give him 8 years, 320, 325. He's going to be the highest paid player in Major League history. After doing what he has done the last 2 years, back-to-back years, and he's been fairly healthy, I think that's where he's going. I think he wants to go home. I know he doesn't want to admit it, but that's where his family is. That's where he grew up in the Bay Area. He always saw himself eventually playing in San Francisco. I mean, I don't know him personally, but his mother seems like a really, really nice lady. His father looks like he's cool and down to earth. And I think he just got married in the offseason last year. So I think it's best to believe that he wants to be closer to his fam. And I understand if that's what he decides to do as a Yankee fan. That's my question. That's my next question. By the way, we are talking to Sports Illustrated, Fan Nation, Jets and Yankees reporter Max Goodman. Max, you look at this offseason. They lose Aaron Judge. Luis Severino's gone. Tyone is gone. They open up maybe between 60, 70, maybe even $80 billion. I've been saying this on this show. Maybe the Yankees sit still. They bring back everybody else, the DJ LeMayus, let Benintendi go, let all, Bader go. Bring up the young players, Dominguez and Volpe. See what you have with the young players. Pereza. Trade Gleyber Torres. He had a pretty good season. He was pretty good in the playoffs. He was the only one really hitting in certain aspects. Maybe you trade Gleyber Torres. He made a lot of mistakes on the field, by the way. Defensively, he was horrible. But maybe you move on from him. You trade him away, get some pieces, and then bring the young players up and see where they fit. And then next offseason, when Soto and Ohtani and all these great players are available, maybe then you open up the pockets and say, you know what? Let's get Soto, let's get Ohtani, and really shut people up and show them what the Yankees all about. You want to call us the Empire Strikes Back? Well, Empire Strike Back after, next year when you win 85, 87 games and maybe barely make the playoffs. What are your thoughts to that? Do you see that happen with the Yankees, or do you see Brian Cashman dipping in the Steinbrenner safe? What do you think?
Well, the first step is Judge, obviously. So in this scenario, if he's leaving, that does free up quite a bit of money and a spot in the outfield. Side note, I'm not entirely sure that he's leaving. I can still see a scenario where he stays, that he has unfinished business. He wants to stay, biggest market, have a chance to win a ring every year, that kind of stuff. But I do get the familial aspect and going back home and all that too. So we'll see. But let's say in this scenario, he does leave and a ton of money is freed up. As much as there are some youngsters that are up and coming and close, I think Oswald Peraza is, potentially your opening day shortstop, if not opening day at second base. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's under contract for next year, but even he seemed to think that there's a chance that he won't be back based on what he said in the clubhouse right after their loss in Game 4.
He's gone.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, you can go through the roster. Josh Donaldson at third.
Oh, please. Josh Donaldson is I wanted to throw up every time he was up. What the hell is he swinging at? I mean, I felt the breeze. I'm watching the game in my own house, and I felt the breeze on every single high fastball he was swinging at. The guy is an idiot, man. And even on the field, defensively, he might be decent. The guy doesn't shut up. He's panting. He's yelling at people, fans, and players on the other side. I could see why people hate him. I mean, because he's just a nasty person.
Well, that's one of the deals that, I mentioned Cashman made a lot of great trades. That one wasn't one of them. I think it didn't necessarily work out. But IKF did his job as a stopgap. It didn't necessarily work out in the playoffs, and he ended up getting benched. But he played above average defense. If you look at the metrics, and he put the ball in play, he was up there in games played and certain metrics, depending on how you look at it, if you want to take either side. But I'm not sure if Anthony Volpe is ready right away based on the trajectory of how he's been slowly going up in the minors. I think maybe he's called up midway through the season. But yeah, it depends on what they do with Torres. You've got LeMahieu there, and he plays the infield. Is Rizzo coming back? Because then if Rizzo's gone, then LeMahieu would go to first, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of different questions. Is Oswaldo Cabrera going to be on the infield, where he is an infielder by trade, but he did such a great job in the outfield? Maybe he's a candidate to replace Hicks in left, or Judge. And he did a great job in right defensively.